Hey guys, how's it going? Like Butter here, and today I wanted to do a short video over some underground gameplay to talk about the current state of the division and how the PvP is kind of panned out and stuff, because I know a lot of people before 1.3 hit were very concerned with how the game was going to play out. And now that I have like a lot of hours in the game and we've done a good amount of PvP, I want to give my opinions on how the game is right now if you are a PvP player. Obviously, those of you who are on PS4 haven't gotten to experience the underground yet. So I think when the underground hits, you guys will really enjoy it. I still enjoy doing underground now. It's not something I can grind out for like a couple of hours anymore because I've done the missions so many times. But it's still fun to hop in and be able to get gear outside the dark zone, kind of chill with your homies, and just, you know, kind of shoot the shit and not really have to worry about, you know, try-harding in the dark zone. So the main topic that I want to talk about today is one major change that has completely changed the dark zone for the better, I believe, and that's the shock turret nerf. Like, a lot of people haven't noticed or probably had no idea that the shock turret actually got a pretty proper nerf in 1.3. And this wasn't really discussed by any of the developers or anything. I think it was under the bug fixes in the patch notes. And I think the reason they did this is because I think the shock turret wasn't intended to be working the way that it was. So how the shock turret used to work, when the game first came out, it was like completely broken, but they made it so that you couldn't get shocked, you know, in like a 5-second window after already being shocked. But the problem with the shock turret was that it would lock you in place for close to, I'd say, like 2 seconds. I know it's 2 seconds doesn't seem like a long time, but in a fast-paced shooter like this game, being locked in place, not being able to defend yourself, not being able to use a med kit, not being able to use first aid, not being able to pop your ultimate, 2 seconds is an extremely long time. And that wasn't even necessarily the problem. The big problem came with the fact that you couldn't do anything after you were shocked for about 2 seconds. You couldn't sprint, you couldn't shoot, you couldn't use med kits, you couldn't heal, you couldn't do anything. So you could walk, but that was it. That was the only difference from being shocked and then the aftershock, which is what I like to call it. There wasn't a huge difference there, and it felt like the shock turret had 4 to 5 seconds of crowd control. If you don't know what crowd control is, it's basically something in the game that either stuns or stops your movement. And they fixed this a lot in 1.3. The shock turret now, I feel like, is still good. It's viable, but it's not cheap, and it's not annoying like it used to be. Like, it can be used in proper situations and be super helpful. But it's not necessarily the way that it was where, you know, them dropping a shock turret or, you know, a team dropping, whoever dropped the shock turret first was going to win the fight. It's not like that anymore. There's actually a lot of situations now where the shock turret will, instead of stun you, it'll slow you. So it'll kind of impair your movement for about a second to a second and a half. Nothing crazy, right? No crazy, you know, it can't move or hit any button for 5 seconds like it was. And also now, the aftershock is completely gone. So even when you get stunned in place, you can use a med kit, you can heal, you can pop ultimate immediately after the stun is finished. Now, this was such a good change for the dark zone, man. It's so good. Like, you'll never, ever see me complaining about shock turrets again. I haven't, ever since 1.3 came out, I have not complained about a shock turret a single time, because now the shock turret works the way that it should. It's meant to kind of lock a player in place so that a team can focus fire that player, and in that case, yes, the shock turret is still strong, but it's not the way it was where it was kind of, it just felt overly broken. So I'm so happy that Massive made this change. Now, PvP has been fantastic. Even with the Reclaimer bug and people doing the Alpha Bridge bug and a bunch of other stuff, despite all of those bugs, I am extremely satisfied with the way that PvP is now. It doesn't feel super hard to kill anybody. It's not like it was when 1.2 first came out, where people are rolling around and there's like a whole server shooting this group of 4 that can't kill them because they're running Tanktician. Tanktician is starting to become less and less useful now. Now, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's still a viable build. A lot of people still use it. But it's not like it was where it was an unstoppable force. Now that we have 229 weapons, the ability to recalibrate a talent, people are starting to get stronger when it comes to DPS. You got sets coming out like Blind, Firecrest, Alpha Bridge, all these sets that are coming out that can be used either in PvE or PvP, which is fantastic, and that's what I want. I want gear sets that are not only angled towards PvE but also PvP, because, you know, me being a huge PvP player, I've been enjoying PvE as well. With the underground, the HVT missions, the incursions, like I've actually really been enjoying it. Like even Falcon Loss on Heroic has been pretty fun. It wasn't as boring as it was on challenging mode, because basically on the challenging mode we weren't strong enough to really tank any of those NPCs. It felt very unbalanced, and it felt like you kind of needed to do the trench the trench move, or the trench strategy, and kind of just sit there and not move and just wait, and it would take a long time. But now, actually, I'm going to do a video in a couple of days because a lot of you guys want a tutorial on it, and I'm down for that. We have a strategy that works perfectly, and because it's on Heroic, they play more aggressive, so there's a lot more action. It's not kind of like, oh my god, you know, all right, we gotta peek out of this trench, there's like 30 LMG guys just sitting around and they're tanky as hell. No, it's not like that. It's like, boom, there's a drone here, shotgunner pushing, sniper in the top right. Like, you gotta constantly communicate with your team. You gotta let each other know where NPCs are coming from, and it's actually really fast-paced compared to the way that it used to be. Now, the trench strategy doesn't even really like work anymore, because now the mortars can hit inside of the middle of the trench. So I think either the strategy that we do, I know a lot of people do it on the left side of the map too, we do it on the right, but anything that works out, it actually hasn't been that bad. I'm really happy with the way the incursions are. Same thing with Clear Sky, and obviously the new incursion, we haven't gotten Heroic yet, but the challenging on the new incursion is so fun. Dragon's Nest is by far the best incursion in the game, and I can't wait till Heroic comes out. I'm not sure, I think Heroic might be coming out this Tuesday. I'm not sure. I'm almost positive that they found some sort of bug, which is why it got delayed. But I think you guys are really gonna enjoy PvE for once. I mean, I enjoyed PvE when I was leveling my character up for the first time, because it felt rewarding to get new gear and to feel that bit of progress. But ever since, like, you know, I was done leveling to 30, PvE felt kind of like slow and boring. And now it's kind of the opposite. You kind of have a lot of options now, and having those options are making this game better and better. So, yeah, I'm just excited for the future of this game, because I know that this game is going to go a long way. And I think a lot of people are doubting it. A lot of people are kind of putting it down and complaining. And I hear you guys, right? There's been a lot of bugs, there's been a lot of issues, there's been a lot of problems with this game. But you have to understand, with an open world game, with the scale of how many items and how many just statistics and equations are put into this game, there's going to be problems, there's going to be issues. Almost every single patch that comes out, there's probably going to be some issues. And that's kind of something that we need to just sit back and give the developers a break, man. Like, we can't just sit there and verbal them over and over and over again when they're putting out free updates and free content. I don't know, man. I just don't like seeing, like, the Division stream or the Division Twitter page tweeted me out the other day, and like, I'd say like 70% of the people were like, hell yeah, like, you know, Like Butter's awesome, or you know, Like Butter's a whiny bitch, or anything like that, which, that's fine, you know, I don't care. I know some people aren't gonna like me, that's totally okay. It's just your opinion, that's all. But then there, like, I'd say about like 30% of the replies to the tweet were like fix your game. Your servers suck, and your game sucks, and you guys are frauds. And instead of tweeting out streamers, how about you fix your game? And I'm just sitting here like, dude, that's so not constructive. Like, that's just not constructive at all. Like, you know, Hamish is a good buddy of mine, and I know a lot of people over at Massive Entertainment, and they're all for, you know, getting feedback. They're all for getting feedback. If something's broken in the game, or I see a glitch, or I see any type of problem that, you know, they may not know about, I will immediately go to Hamish and tell him what's up, and he respects that. Like, he appreciates that people give feedback, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing constructive about sitting there and being like, your game fucking sucks, and it's broken, and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's nothing good that can come out of that. So I think that once these bugs and these issues start getting ironed out like they have been, like they've fixed a lot of stuff in this game over the past couple of months, it's actually freaking mind-blowing. You know, I think it's going to get better, and it's going to be more and more fun as time goes on. We got Survival coming out. I'm assuming Survival comes out at the end of August for for Xbox One and PC. And then I'm assuming PS4 gets it the month after that. And then we have Last Stand that's at the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, they're probably going to announce year 2 of DLC. That's what I would think. I don't think they would work on this game for 5 years, 5.5 years, however long it was. It was extremely long. And have it be Ubisoft's biggest launch title and most successful game that they've ever launched, and not do year 2 content. That wouldn't make sense. And plus, why would they name the year 1 content year 1 content? Like, it just wouldn't make sense. So I definitely think we're going to get a second year of content. And then after that, I think Division 2 might be coming out, or maybe a different variation of Division. I don't know. It's going to be so sick. I can't wait for the future of this game. And I'm happy that PvP is kind of going towards a positive light, and it's getting better, you know? Like I said before, I'd much rather have people running around with DPS or high skill power builds that can one-shot people or down people extremely fast than have it like it was in 1.2, where everyone's running around, no one's killing each other. The only way you were going to die is if you got shock turreted or sticky bombed. That's not fun. That's not, you know, a good time for anyone. The people killing or the people that are getting killed. So to see it start going, like I said, more in a positive direction makes me extremely happy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know I only play on PC, so I may be biased towards, you know, PC mechanics and stuff like that, but let me know how it is on console. I heard that sticky bombs are a real problem on console. Tanktitions are a real problem on console, and the reason for that is because on PC, if you're good with mouse and keyboard, you can be a lot more accurate than you can if you're good with a controller. You just have more with a mouse pad and a mouse. You have way more access points. I guess it's like, you could think of it as you just have more customization and more ability to move and aim and point exactly where you want. Whereas on console, it's a bit harder because you're using a controller with joysticks that only have, you know, so much that you can do with them. So let me know. I think that's one of the big problems with console is just I'm assuming it's really hard to hit people that are rolling around like roly-polies to do enough damage to put them down. So I think what will happen is when they add armor penetration to the ARs, which I believe they're still doing, I hope, because right now the only viable thing in the Dark Zone for PvP is kind of either the G36, which is getting nerfed because the base damage is way too high, or SMGs. Like, SMGs are still king. MP7, MP5, yeah, even the AUG. If you can get a really good AUG, it might still be pretty good. But yeah, like, still, like, guns like the Lova, the ACR, and like all those other weapons are still not viable in PvP. Like, even if you have a god roll version of those, you're not going to do enough damage to put people down, just because, you know, the longer clip doesn't really help, and, you know, the low damage kind of you got to sacrifice a lot of that burst damage. So right now it looks like 3 Firecrest, 2 Blind, and SMGs are like the way to go right now, because you're not giving up all that, you know, zero damage when you're reloading. Your reload is so much faster that you can just continually put out consistent damage, which I think consistent damage in a game like The Division is a little bit better, as long as the damage is high, right? Like, if you're tickling them, it's not going to matter. But as long as you're doing consistently high damage, I'd take that over, like, something like Strikers any day. Because, you know, with a build like Strikers, you just have to, like, basically shoot and hope that you kill them in that first clip. If not, you're going to reload for 2 seconds, and they're going to be able to recuperate, and then you try again, and then they medkit, and then you try again, and it's crazy. It's hard right now. So hopefully they add in that armor penetration like they said, and I think this game was just going to keep improving. It's going to keep getting better. As long as they don't raise the armor cap any more than it is right now, and weapons continually get stronger, I think it will be so much better in the future. And I think there's going to be more options. And another thing is, like, I'm starting to notice that with the more builds that come out, you're seeing more team compositions, which is huge. That's so smart, to have like a DPS player, to have a sentry player, a reclaimer. Like these like support-ish builds are starting to come out, like Reclaimer, and I think it's really good for the game. And I think when Reclaimer gets fixed so that you can only pop one thing at a time, it's not even going to be broken. Like, even in these fights, when people pop like instant bullets and explosives and have, like, you know, cooldown reduction, all that other stuff, it's still not even like terrible. Like, people aren't getting 2 hit. They're still decent sized fights. But I think when it gets fixed, it's going to be even better, because the fights are going to be even, you know, they're going to be less length than they are now, because, you know, people aren't going to get the opposite effects. Like, now if you pop a granola bar, everyone in the vicinity, even like rogues, get the granola bar as well. So it's like definitely broken, but I think that will get fixed soon too. So yeah, I'm just really happy. I hope you guys are too. Let me know what you guys want to see for videos. I haven't been running out of ideas, but I've kind of been slowing up on what content to make, whether you guys want to see like tutorials, or you just want to see a lot of PvP stuff, or if you want to see my opinions on certain builds and all that. I'll probably do all of that stuff, but let me know what you guys want to see the most. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop the video a like, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care, everybody.